So yesterday we created a application for Talk to Me that we are going to develop now. So this is the application that we are going to create, Talk to Me application, and I think I have given you a overall overview of this project. That this project is going to embed React and Spring Boot. So one simple question: what is the role of React in this project? What is the role of React in this project? APIs. Why we use React? For front end only. Means front end we will write in where? Where we will write our front end? React. Entire front end will be written in React and back end will be handled by Spring Boot. It means that we are not going to have any JSP file here. No, we are not going to have any JSP file because writing in JSP is kind of bit difficult. So we will create a React application. All the server level thing we will do in Spring Boot and all the client level thing we will do in React. So I am assuming that you have a basic knowledge of React, or if you are not having, I'll give you an overview. Our first task is to get the API. Our very first task is to get the API. From where? OpenAI. So we will go for OpenAPI. So you have to go to this website platform.openai.com. In that it will give you these kind of things. There only if you can search here API key. So yesterday we have generated a API key. The same we will use here. This key that I have saved it somewhere in desktop. Talk to me. So this is my API key. Second thing is we should get the URL. So in this, I will search for the section that is chat section. So you can search here chat. In the chat section, you will see that create chat completion because we are going to chat with the application. This is the link. So it is telling you that you have to post a request. What request? HTTPS :/api.openai.com v1 chat completion. Like this, you should send a post request. So I will start my postman because at first we have to test this API whether this API is giving us the answer or not. If here it is giving, it will give there also. Okay. So the one question: did you install Postman? No, you are telling lie. So what I will do is I will paste that link. Okay, pasted. HTTPS visible, like this link is pasted. OpenAI is telling you that you have to make a post request. Which request? Post. Because you will request ChatGPT with a question, right? Let's say I'll open ChatGPT. In ChatGPT, I will ask what is Java or what is Spring Boot. So what you are requesting ChatGPT, you are requesting it to display the answer which will tell what is Spring Boot. Okay, so like this, we are not logged in and all. So post request you have to make. So I will change this get to post. Okay, changed. Second thing is you will see that request body. Whatever request you are making, what will be the body structure? Message, and it will be in array required. So you have to give two things. First message, second is model. From which model of chat GPT you want your answer? There are different models of chat GPT. So you have to give these two things. And these are in, if you are able to see in the left, sorry, this right hand section. So I'll change it to curl. In that you will see that you have to paste the request in this way, that model. First, you have to give model. We call them as data headers or simply headers. So model is ChatGPT 4o, and we will use 4o mini because the pricing is less for that. The message will be a array of object role developer content. This content is a question here that I will ask here what is Spring Boot. So let's copy this entire thing. So this bracket kind of thing I will copy entire. In the postman, where we have to give it, if you are saying body, in that you will see this raw section. In this raw section, let me paste that thing and we will just adjust it. So I'll remove that bracket. Visible, right? Visible. So just start reading it from the top. You are passing the data. What data? Model ChatGPT hyphen 4 and mini version I will take. In mini, message is, so here we have two messages. Second message I will remove. Role I will change from developer to a user, and I will ask a question here. What is Spring Boot? What is Spring Boot? If you are sending this request now, but because it require authentication, so when you are sending the request 401 unauthorized, what it is telling? 401 unauthorized, that you don't have any authentication. So we should provide a authentication to it. So I will open my API key, and this is my API key. Where we need to give it? In the auth section. In the auth type, you can select here this bearer token, paste it here, and we will make the same request again with the same question. Again, when I made the send request, 429 too many attempts, pre APIs, but this time it is getting you exceeded your current quota. So let's check how much we have used and how much it is giving us. Only one request is allowing, like, okay, we'll check. Wait. For GPT-4 mini pricing is $0.15. And how much we have used? Here is uses. Array, what happened? It is the previous one, right? One API request we did. Till $18 you can make free request. Okay, so we will make this request after some time. Maybe some problem is there. Role user Spring Boot. Okay. You exceeded your current quota. Okay, we will create another account. We have a lot of email IDs, right? So first what we should build at first, front end or back end? Okay, tell me one thing. Whenever you are working in a company, which part will be built at first, front end or back end? Where is Sandeep? Sandeep, back end. What is the reason behind it that you have to build back end first? It looks very weird, right? That we will build the back end first. But why we are building the back end as first? We are building the back end as first because in front end you have to design the things. Let's say your back end is giving you 10 data types. 10 types of data it is giving you. So you have to scale your application on the basis of data that your backend is giving you, right? You should scale your data on the basis of what your backend is giving. Let's say in front end you build an application which is expecting 15 type of data, but your backend is only giving 10. Front end will break. So your front end is the second thing. Backend matters the most, right? So we will develop our backend as first. Original approach we will follow. Now in this Spring Boot application, let's start it. So application is started. Now why we are using this application? If I'm telling you why we are using this application, so simply we are using this application to take the request and produce the output, means handling all the backend request. Okay, fine. So how we will do it? For that, first we will add the Lombok dependencies in this, or no need, like we will write the getter setters. If you want, you can, because somewhere we will use them. So talk to me project is there. In this main package is com.talk.talk to me. Now in this package, using the base package, I will create a new package and I will name this package as service package, because now my backend will work only to give service to a application, right? And now in this service application, what service it will give you? Are you getting this picture in your brain? Just think it once, because development will become complex if you are not just thinking it. Just think it once. How your front end will be there, how your back end will be there, and where we will fetch the API, and who will fetch the API? React or Spring? Both. Both will fetch the API. But how? Spring Boot will be sending a post request to ChatGPT or OpenAI, and React will be sending a request to Spring Boot. It means that if you have a little knowledge in this particular React and Spring Boot, default port for Spring Boot, that is default port for React, huh? React Wheat 5173. 5000. Who said 5000? 5173. So in React, if you are creating your application in this way, npx create React app, it is deprecated now. It is removed. Officially, it is deprecated. Now you don't have to use npx create React app. You have to use some like Vite and all those things. Or either Vite or either Next.js. You have to use these things. So when you are creating a Vite project for React, the default port is 5173. Just think about this picture. 5173 port number will try to communicate. It will try to communicate with port number 8080. Now in my local host, it will work fine. Like, okay, we will do some system here that because both the project will run in the same laptop and same local host and they will work. How they will work when we are deploying them? How they will work when we are deploying them? Do we have to write their original source link? Yes. You have to deploy a Spring Boot application. You have to deploy a React application, and your React application will fetch the data, fetch the API from your Spring application only. This is the complete picture here. This is the complete picture. But before building the backend, like we should solve the API problem of this OpenAI. Why it is not giving us the request? We'll create a new account if it is creating some problem. Insufficient quota. Okay, no problem. Like OpenAI. We'll create a new account. Generally, whenever you are creating an account, I will show you the uses of these. So whenever you are creating a new account, the limit will be $5. That till $5, your request will be free. After that, you have to pay. So whenever you are creating account, and this monthly bill limit, monthly, but our month is ending in 8 days, 6 days, so fine. And how much it will spend? How much it will spend? For that, go to home page and just check the pricing section. So here is the pricing section for mini that we are using. For this mini, if you are giving an input $0.15 and if it is giving output 0.160, means in making one request, it will cost us around $0.75. How much? 0.75. It means that around 6 requests we can make. Only 6. 6 or like 7 requests. No, only 6 requests we can make in that free quota. So today one I will make using Postman and rest we will make using our application. Things are limited here. So we will try now with the next API key. So again auth and this token I will change. Or you can create multiple accounts. It's free, right? It just require your email ID. That's it. Mobile number is there. Lot of options are there. So we'll copy and paste it. Oh, got to know. We have some talented students in our class. So let's try to make this request. And now it is working fine because ChatGPT is generating the data. Because if it is taking time, the message it will generate. So yes, 200. Okay. This is the ID, this is the object, this is the created, this is the model. ChatGPT 4.0 mini. Choices, index 0, message, role assistant, content. What was the question that you asked to ChatGPT? What is Spring Boot? Answer you got. Spring Boot is an open source framework that simplifies the process of building and deploying Java based application, particularly microservices. This is a lot of data it has generated. Out of this entire data, what you need to print in React application? Only the content. Choices, message, content. Choices dot message dot content. That's it. Only this much you need to print. And only this one you need to print. So till now it's not taking, like it will update in very soon. Let's start building our application. First thing is, whenever you are building this application, on which layer you are working, because whenever we are talking about Spring Boot we have lot of layers. First, second, third and fourth. At top we have the repository, or I am not keeping this annotation, simple repository is there. Then we got service. Service. Three layers are there. Now if you forgot that, it's very bad. Yes, online people's services between the Java application and database. I am saying give me answer. Lack of practice. I'll stop the class. Don't expect this. Repo, service and controller. What is the hierarchy? If you are saying that there are three levels, repo, service and controller. What is the hierarchy of these? Fine. Which one is the top, controller or service? Have a brush up on your skills, guys. Like, I can't say anything more than that. It means that we need one more package here that will be for our controller. As we are not going to have any JSP and other those pages, so that's fine. So we got two packages, one for controller, one for service. Means one will be having the service section and one will be having the controller section. And how we will write them? What we will use here? For that, let's go to the Spring documentation and I will search here REST template. There was a JDBC template. Remember JDBC template, what that was doing? Easier communication between Spring and database. That was JDBC template. In Spring, we have REST template as well. REST for representational test transfer template means it will be helping you to create the REST request very easily. And this one, REST template. Initially, it extends intercepting HTTP accessor and it implements REST operations. Means if you are using this REST template, you will get this REST operations by default. Means that get, post, put, patch, delete, all those HTTP operations you will get by default by using what? REST template. Now this REST template is, I think, deprecated. Let me check it. Spring, yeah, it is deprecated, but still we can use this. So it is deprecated now, but we have its alternative, that is web client. That is web client. Spring Web Flux includes a client to perform HTTP request with web client. Web client has a functional fluent API based on Reactor. So we will use this. We can use web client. We can use this REST template. Both we can use. Just REST template is deprecated now, and web client is still working. How they actually works? So if we are saying that we have to define a controller. So let's say here I will create a new class. In this class, I will say that uh, open API controller. Open API controller. Okay, this is a controller. What it will control? What it will control? Just at least go with the MVC architecture. What this controller will control? Request from React to Spring, or request from Spring to OpenAI, or response from OpenAI to React. What part it will control? What part of application it will control here? Leave it. So if this is a controller, it should have a annotation. Controller we can make, or REST controller. That REST controller is the specified and updated version. As we are going to perform the REST operation, so REST controller only I will keep. On what mapping it will be there? Means if you are writing request mapping, we did this right, request mapping when Means whenever someone is trying to give you a request in what format. Now, just for a minute, understand from where this request. That's why I was asking that which part it will handle, because we have to write that slash chat slash user something we have to write. So, which part this open API controller or this controller will be handling here? So, if I am writing something like this, that it will handle API and chat. So whenever someone is requesting slash API slash chat, my this controller will get active. Or you can open API controller, or you can write any name to this. It should be a controller. That's it. Class name doesn't matter. What it will do now, if it is holding this request, what it will do? If I am saying open API controller, and it will be invoking its functionality when request is coming in this format slash API slash chat. Whenever request is coming in this format, whenever it will invoke. Who will make these kind of requests, React or Spring? And now, like, I am getting a lot of things in my brain. I should ask you questions like kids daily homework. Like, I am not getting this thing. Two, three times I have told you the architecture. Still, just repeat the architecture of MVC. What was the flow of a request? At first, it will go to dispatcher servlet, then, then handler method, handler mapping, then repeat that in your brain. Repeat it and tell me what is was the role of controller there. Repeat in your brain. Repeat what was the role of controller. That's it. Role of controllers, and tell me. What was the role of controller? Simple question to both online and offline student. What was the role of view to interaction between model and view? Wait, I'll open that and then tell me. Wait, now see this and tell me what is the role of a controller? What controller is returning? Model and view. So controller is returning the corresponding web page. Means this request will be handled from the React. React will be holding your pages. How you can forget it? If I was building using JSP means entire standalone Spring application, then at that time you can say, okay, internal requests are going on. Now this will be external request. Controller will try to resolve something. Don't forget these things very easily. Like, I can't say anything more than that. This particular part will auto wire something. For that, we will create a open AI service and we will give it a name AI service. As this is not a class or nothing is there, so we will create it in the service package. Open AI service. You can write any other name also. So here I have created a open AI service. First thing, this service layer will direct, we call it as DTO also. DAO, huh? Data access object. I'm saying we call it as DTO, not DAO. What is DTO? Data transfer object. Huh? What is DTO? What will be the annotation here? Service. Will it be a service annotation here? Okay, let's keep. I will declare two things here. That is, first is API underscore URL. It will be a string. And I will declare one more thing. That is API underscore key. Now, if you are writing these things here, that is also fine. If you don't want to write these things and you want to hide your data somewhere, you want to hide your data somewhere, that also you can do. If you want to hide the API key, now my API key is visible. If any student is making request by my API key, my quota will get over. And yesterday the same thing happened because it was available in recordings and all, and they did request, request, request. So it is out of quota now, right? So where we can hide this, anyone will see. For that, we write the things in our application.properties section, resources, and here. Then we will fetch them. Okay, then we will fetch them. That is also, I'll tell you. Right now, I am keeping the things simply here. So what is our API URL? So this is the URL. Keep it kept. Okay. API key also we need to give here. This is my API key. Okay. Give. Now this is our class. In that I have declared two private, static, and final. What is final keyword in Java? We can modify. We cannot modify. I cannot change the value of final variables. Why I have, anyone, can you please tell me why I have written final here? I want to test your thinking, like how much you can think. In the controller, it is throwing some error there. So let's import OpenAI service. Don't talk. OpenAI I is small. And we will auto wire this. In the controller, we will auto wire this. Why I have written final here? Anyone? Because these are like very static values. I don't, if this single A is missing from my API key, it will not work. If this single A is missing, it will not work at all. It should be there. That's why I have declared them as the final. Like, okay, I don't want to change these values. After this, what we will use? Just now I shown you two things. One is the web client and second one is the REST template. These two things we will use, out of which we are going to make use of REST template, and in the next project we will use web client, so that you have the information of both, because you don't know in which particular part your company is working. They can ask you both, because if they are dealing with the previous things they will be using REST template. Even now, like 99% are using REST template. Web client is used very less. If your company is starting today, then only they will use web client. If older applications are written using REST template. Hotstar is written in REST template, by the way, means using REST template. So we will make use of these things now. What is REST template here? It's a class. If we want to use it directly in our application, then we have to, because this REST template is a external class. If I want to use this REST template in my project, what I have to do? We have to import it. How we will import? If I'm directly writing here, let's say private uh, REST template, and I will auto wire it. What is the use of auto wired here? Auto wiring between the classes, like no, nothing is required. No, no bin declaration, nothing. You can directly auto wired it. One more thing I will write here, that is like HTTP header. HTTP headers. Why we are writing headers, boss? Why we will use these headers? Just now I have shown you in a request that whenever you are making a request in API of OpenAI, so whenever you are making the request, how it will go? It will go with two things: model and, what it is showing. Wait, chat. It will go with two things: model and message. These are like headers in a request. These are like the headers in a particular request. That's why we are importing that particular part also. Okay, that is also fine. Now how we will use them? Because if we are saying that we will use REST template, we will use HTTP headers, what is going to be our workflow to use them? If we are saying in very cool way, so for a moment, let's search this HTTP headers also, that how they works in Spring. So I will tell you to just read this particular part. Yes, read it. Read it. Got some idea? Tell me what idea you got. Tell me. Your biggest problem is you don't want to read. I know that you haven't read it. Any one of you. You are just skipping the parts. That's how development don't work. Writing and reading both are important for a developer. Personal experience. If you are writing 2 lines of code, write the documentation for it. If you are adding the button, write a documentation for it. That for this purpose, using these IDs classes, I have created this button. That was the requirement. For a single HTML button also, you have to write documentation. Otherwise, in companies, whenever you have written 300, 400 or 1000 lines of code, at that time you can't understand anything. What you did if you don't have a documentation. You should have a documentation. Because remembering all the code is like not a human kind of thing. Whatever code I am writing today, 3, 4 days later, I will forget that. You should prepare documentation. For that, you should have a reading and writing habit. I said, read this. And I know everybody skipped it because you were looking at me. You were not even looking at the projector. How you will read it? Okay. So we will go to our class. Anyways, we have to complete this. So I will create a function here as all the communication will be done in the string method. Question will be coming as a string. Answer will be going as a string. So public string chat with chat GPT. These kind of functions I will prepare. It will throw continuous error. So let's return a simple string through it. Later we will change it to our real thing. Okay, so one more thing, we can auto wire them both, or else we can directly use them in the function. Either we can auto wire them or else directly create their object in the function. Both way you can do. Are you getting the flow or not? Very frankly tell me this thing. Getting the flow or like you are having, you need a architecture before this. Then why are you not asking this? Guys are crazy. Architecture of talk to me project. First part is the requirement part. First part is the requirements part. We require for front end, we require React. For back end, Spring Boot is there. Database, as this is a chat application, and generally we will not save the chat. Destroy the chat after the session is refreshed. No database is required. We will not require any database here. So this part is not there. When you are talking about the architecture, so this is going to be a React application. This is going to be your React application. What is the work of this React application? It will have a talk to me interface. It will have a talk to me interface and a heading kind of thing we will show at the top, that talk to me. And here we will give a message box to the user with a placeholder that write your question or write your message. Whatever message user is sending, we will display, and whatever response ChatGPT is giving, we will display that. This is your React applications architecture. Here your Spring Boot will be working. In this particular part, our Spring Boot will be working. So this is going to be a Spring Boot application. How the flow will go? So this Spring Boot application will be having two things: a service and a controller. This application will have two things: service and controller. Now let's say write a message. So user will write a message. The first message that is written by user is India. Simple question mark. Or let's say Java question mark. Or we will write what is Java? Complete question. What is Java? So using the state method, we will manage this message. So user type this message and send that what is Java. Very good. Now this request will be going traveling from your React application to your Spring Boot application. And what React will send? Whatever React is having, that only React is able to send. So React is able to send a message. So this what is Java will travel to this what is Java will travel to Spring Boot as a message. And this Spring Boot will create the request in this format. That this link will be there in Spring Boot. So Spring Boot will go to this link. After going to this link, Spring Boot will prepare a headers also. Headers in the format that ChatGPT is asking to us. In this particular format, that model GPT-4o mini version will keep here. Second is message. From where the message is coming? Message is coming from the React. Message is coming from the React. Here we will only hold this. So this service layer, what this service layer will do? This service layer will accept it, process it, send the data to controller. Because service layer cannot return a view. What is the role of a controller? Just now I have shown you the architecture. The controller returns model and view. This service layer will perform all the operation. It will take the data from React. It will send that request to ChatGPT. It will take the answer as well, but can't show to React. For that we need a controller, because we know one thing, that controllers returns the values in the form of data and view. Means which application you want to show, which page you want to show, and in that page what data you need to write. What data you need to write. That's why we got this controller here. And this controller will take the data from whom? Service layer. So service layer will, let's say you asked a question to ChatGPT that what is Java. And ChatGPT gave the answer in this format that Java is a programming language. Java is a platform independent and object oriented programming language. This is the message written by ChatGPT to you. Service layer will accept this response from ChatGPT and it will do all the operation. Then it will send that data to controller. Controller is helpful in returning the data back to the dispatcher servlet or here React, because this is the front end. This is the front end. For that, what we will do is let's create a application in React as well, because parallelly I will show you. So in desktop, let's create a new folder and I will name it as talk to me. In this particular folder, I will create a new React application. What I will do, I will create a new React application. For creating React application, we will use wait. So I will write npm create wait at the rate latest talk to me. So created, it is asking which framework you want. I want React with JavaScript. That's it. Then we will install the necessary libraries. Same as you can do with the Angular, right? Same thing you can do with the Angular as well. Create Angular project and just connect it with the Spring Boot using the APIs. So this project is installed all the necessary libraries and we will run it. It is running on the localhost 5173. So yes, it is working fine. Like this only Vite project comes. Now we will edit this project. We will edit this project. It'll create a good front end and localhost this one. This is the entire link which will send the request to whom? To Spring Boot. In what format? As we know that Spring Boot runs on the localhost 8080. Localhost 8080. And what is the request name that you have written there? API/chat. It means that your React application will write something like this. Fetch. In fetch, this is the link. This is the link that this React application will fetch by providing headers to it. What headers? In that, first you need to provide what the model you are using. So we are using model as GPT, whatever GPT-4o-mini. This is our model. Then it will give you message. Message will be a array and array of objects which will have two things. First object will be of role. Role will be of user. Second, it will give you the message, whatever user is giving as a message. So this request will travel from React to Spring Boot. Spring Boot will accept this and it will create. So can you think one thing? Are we creating the API using Spring Boot? Yes. We are creating a API using Spring Boot. Spring Boot is also fetching the data from somewhere, but we are fetching our data from Spring Boot. We are fetching our data from Spring Boot, right? So in that way, the request will travel. So let's come back to the architecture. So this was the React architecture. What service layer will do? What this service layer will do? It will do very easy and very funny things. First is it this service layer will be expecting something as API URL, right? It will be expecting this URL. Then it will be expecting API key also, because those things are not there in React. All of those things are in the Spring Boot. All of those things are in Spring Boot. Third is message and model. Service layer will take these four things: API URL, API key, model, and message, and it will prepare a request. It will prepare a request to send to ChatGPT, or that you can say OpenAI, and then OpenAI will give the data. After that, this service layer will combine that data into a string message. That's why I have written a string function here, that chat with ChatGPT, or here you can write get message from ChatGPT, get message from chat, anything we can write, because at last there will be a string message that it will be returning. So this function will be expecting a message also. So this function is expecting a string message also. From whom? Whosoever is calling this. Who will call this? That's it. Got it or not? Got it. And at last, we will just show the data using our controller. Controller will return that thing. Understood now? Okay. So I'm giving you a task to everyone, and you can mark this task as like you have to do. Read about REST template on Spring documentation and HTTP headers. You will get lot of learning, lot of website also I'm showing you. This is the website for REST template. Just write REST template docs and you will go to this website. Same thing, you can write HTTP headers docs. And you can mention Spring docs. That's it. Read about them. Because if I'm writing header.set, you'll be blank. Right? You will be blank. So read these. This is not for my benefit. Right? I already know how to connect React with Spring Boot. It's for you only. So read it so that we can build our application, and it will not take a lot of time. Don't worry. It will not take a lot of time. Here it will tell you that you have to define these things in this way, like this. You can read it. Right? Just read it once and close. In React only, there is only single page, because only one page we require. We don't want multiple page. So we will quickly design it and we will build. Got it? We will quickly design it and we'll build it. Before that, now we'll close the session. But before that, understand these two things: REST template and HTTP headers. These two things you should understand. Got it or not? Got it? Are you sure that you will study these things? So let's enjoy the weekend now. We are dropping for the sessions. Have your nice weekend. Enjoy as much you can. Okay? We'll connect again on Monday, guys. Have a nice time, everyone. Bye bye. Take care.